Hey, unemployed gamer, and I am back. And today I am buzzed because I've been drinking. But I thought I'd make it about the NES today because it was an amazing system, and what an amazing system it was. I have really, really good memories with the NES. Over 1,000 games in its library, very impressive. And honestly, it's responsible for my love of Nintendo and video games in general. The NES was an important system for me and for the world because it saved us from the video game crash from 1984. It pretty much revived the whole video game industry, I have really good, fond memories with the system. It was the first system my dad brought us, or our first Nintendo system, because I did own an Atari. But it holds a special place in my heart. It was a gift from my father. Definitely one of the greatest systems of all time. And I want to talk to you about my favorite games. So I'm going to do a list of the top 10 as usual. And I'm going to try to make it a bit faster and shorter since this is supposed to be a short and simple review. And well, let's go with our number 10. DuckTales. And back in the day, Disney games were honestly amazing. They were really amazing. I remember playing a whole bunch of Disney games. But DuckTales was no exception. I actually owned DuckTales. The graphics were awesome for its time, for the Super Nintendo. They were top notch, as you say. The soundtrack, was amazing. The gameplay, though, was awesome. It was easy to pick up, the controller. The game was hard as hell, though. I do remember, having a hard time beating this game. But then I was a little bit younger. I started gaming, when I was young. But it was definitely one of my favorite games. And it makes it on my list because it was amazing, And I think definitely, even the remastered one was great, but nothing like the original. Anyways, that was my number 10. I'm going with number 9 now. And it's going to be Ninja Gaiden, or Gaiden. I never knew how to pronounce it. I never actually owned Ninja Gaiden. I wish I did, though, because I would always borrow this game from my neighbor. And I would always bother him, hey, let me borrow it again and again, because I was trying to beat it. Definitely one of the best games out there for the NES, but it's also one of the hardest I've ever encountered. But the cool thing about this game was the controller. It was beautiful. It was fluid. The stages were awesome. But yeah, I remember dying thousands of times. I was screaming at the TV, because it was really, really hard. But the satisfaction I got when I actually did beat it, and I remember I beating it, but probably maybe my cousin helped me, but I did beat it, and it was worth it. I remember in the end, all the stress, Ninja Gaiden or Gaiden, whatever you want to call it, was amazing, Definitely deserves it to be on my list too. Number 8, Life Force. And Life Force, my friend actually owned Life Force, and he used to bring it over to my house all the time. And honestly, it was a masterpiece from Konami. It's still one of my favorite airplane shooter games, believe it or not, because of this game. I love airplane shooters. We mastered this game to perfection, and I'm not even exaggerating. That's how much we played it. It had the Konami code, but we never used the Konami code, only for fun. But we beat it without the Konami code, believe it or not. The music was awesome. I still love the music, actually, to this day. And I remember it being stuck in my head, and I would hum it all the time. It was awesome. But Life Force is a beautiful game. Definitely recommend it, and it deserves to be on here as well. I'm going with number 7 now. And number 7 would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. And I was a really huge fan of the arcade game, the version, I would go to, we used to have Peter Piper, and they had it on there, it was pretty cool. Or Round Table Pizza, I would just go just to play this game, So when it was going to come out on the NES, obviously, I had to have that game, and I actually did own it. And it was great. It was fantastic. it was a great conversion. It was awesome. Everything was there from the arcade, including you could play two players as well. The music was there. Everything you loved about the arcade game was on the NES, and that was a huge achievement, to be honest with you. Konami did it. I don't know how, but they definitely used all the power of the NES to make this game so much fun and as close as they could to the arcade. So much hours and hours of fun. Love this game. Definitely deserves to be on here. And number 6, it's gonna be Mega Man 3. And Mega Man 3 is my all-time favorite Mega Man game, because I revisited this game so many times. It was so damn difficult, but it was so amazing. You just want to go back and back, and I wanted to finish the game. The music though, still to this day, is probably my favorite music from all the Mega Mans. The soundtrack, it was so good. I would just sometimes just pick a stage, I remember, and then just stay still, and just listen to the music. It was that good. But I want to say thanks to Konami. Sorry, not Konami. I want to say thanks to Capcom for such an awesome game. This one is definitely one of those that gives me so many memories as well. One of my favorite games indeed, Mega Man 3. Number 5, I'm going to go with Contra. And come on, it's a classic. And Contra for the NES is king for me till this day. I like it more than the arcade version because, believe it or not, there was an arcade version of it. But honestly, NES, for me, it's way better. And let me tell you, once you start playing this game, you're in for a treat once you see the first level. The music, the weapons, you could get so many different weapons. The bosses were great. And the 2-player mode, come on, that makes it even more fun. But the difficulty was intense. But that's what made this game great, I recommended playing it without the Konami code. But if you use it, you're a wimp. But anyways, try to beat it without it. You are going to feel satisfaction to another level. Definitely, Contra is still one of the best games out there. And it's the king, the one for NES. And let's go with number 4. It's going to be none other than Battletoads. Another one that made me throw my controller. It was so damn hard, but had me and my friends and my brother coming back to it. The 2-player co-op mode was awesome. It's probably my favorite. A lot of action for sure. And let me give you a little trivia. But for those that don't know, this game is actually made by Rare. So that was so cool, right? Anyways, that explains why it's such a badass game. I love Battletoads. Hopefully they'll make a new one soon. Anyways, that stupid tunnel. I'm gonna cuss it out, but F you. Anyways, what a brilliant game it was. And definitely one of the best for the NES. And I'm going for number 3. Number 3 is going to be Super Mario Brothers. The first game I ever played for the NES. And it was thanks to my dad. My dad bought me an NES, and it came with Mario and Duck Hunt. I was about 6 years old, I remember. Believe it or not, I do remember him showing me the controller. He hooked it up, and he actually played through the first level. Then he handed it to me, and that was it. I was hooked. I was a gamer there after that for life. This game was a masterpiece. It was revolutionary. I had never played anything like this because I had an Atari, but nothing was like Super Mario Brothers. It was easy to get the hang of it. You just got the controller, and it was easy. It was fluid. It was awesome. The gameplay, the music, though. You start playing this game and you start humming the music. Super Mario made me the gamer I am today. And even though I didn't know who Miyamoto was back then, now I can say thank you, Miyamoto. What a game. What a delight. Mario. Super Mario. And number 2, another Mario game, Super Mario Brothers 3. And I didn't think I would ever love another Mario game as much as I love the first one. And yes, it was a part two, but part two was good. I liked it, but nothing was gonna beat Super Mario Brothers 1 until I played Super Mario Brothers 3. And I saw this game for the first time from the movie The Wizard. And I remember that's all I thought about, I was like, wow, I want that game. I want it. I actually had dreams about it. So when my father showed up with Super Mario Brothers 3, I almost had a stroke. It was everything I always dreamed of, and it had everything, the music, the graphics. Mario can do all kinds of stuff now. He can do special powers, become a frog, and he can fly. It was beautiful, it was a piece of art. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of goosebumps with this game. I even skipped school and faked I was sick because I wanted to stay home and play it, until I beat it, which I did beat in the end, and it was worth lying to my parents about me being sick, Definitely a beautiful game. Super Mario Brothers 3, amazing, simply amazing. And then we are gonna go with our number one now, and I'm gonna do a drum roll. And Punch Out, Super Punch Out, of course. It's gonna be Punch Out, Mike Tyson's Punch Out or regular Punch Out, whatever you want. But I started playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out, so I'm gonna go with Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And there was nothing like Punch Out for me back then. And even to this day, I think it's still really unique. I used to go with a friend actually on a bike, and I used to actually go about 18 blocks or so, or he used to come over, and we were always trying to beat Mike Tyson all the time. It was really hard, It was a hard game, but it was amazing. I used to love the graphics. I remember the music was intense. It was amazing. But the characters, you get hooked because they were so unique. They were so different, and you really needed to study the opponent, like with different kinds of techniques. So in other words, what I'm trying to say, this game was brilliant. Most people thought it was better than the arcade version because there was an arcade version, believe it or not. And I agree. I like the NES version more than the arcade version. And I am gonna admit something right now about this game. I will admit it. I never did beat Mike Tyson, believe it or not. To this day, I cannot beat him, or Mr. Dream, for those that have the newer copies. I never beat Mike Tyson. He was so damn hard. But this game was amazing. It's one of those games I wish I owned. I never owned it. Like I said before, my friend had it. But Mike Tyson's Punch Out was definitely a piece of work, a piece of art, a masterpiece. And yes, more sequels actually did come out, but nothing's gonna beat this one for me. So many great memories with this one. Mike Tyson's Punch Out would be number one for me for the NES. Anyways, that was my list, folks, and I want to dedicate this video to my father, because thanks to him, we are the gamers that we are now. We fell in love with Nintendo. And our library of games consisted of over 100 games, because my father would always buy us so many games. He knew our love for video games. He would always surprise us with games. Somehow he knew what we wanted to play. And now I'm a father, and I hope my kids have good memories of me playing video games with them, just like I had with my dad. I guess this new generation, I want my kids to love Nintendo video games as much as I did. This is what links me and my father, and I want to dedicate this episode. Thanks for buying us so many great games. I love you, Dad. Thanks for always working so hard to keep this family under a roof and happy and with a Nintendo console. The image of my father, believe it or not, seeing our happy faces, it's always stuck on my mind. Like the first time he got us a Nintendo, he was just staring at us, It's always stuck here. And when he got us a Super Nintendo, same feeling, and the 64. And I understand him now, because when I see my kids' faces when I gave him their first Nintendo system, like the Wii U, or an Xbox. It was priceless to see their faces. My kids. It gave me a lot of happiness. It kind of gives me this amazing feeling in my heart. So I want to dedicate it again. Thank you, Dad, if you ever watch this episode. Thanks for being so good to us. And I'm doing the same for my kids, I promise. And I love you with all my heart. And I'm going to say thanks for watching. Until next time, or until I find a job. Have a good one, everybody. And remember, all you need is love. And you'll be fine. Have a good one, everybody.